We Will Become Silhouettes is kind of a perfect example of something that I find myself doing a lot, which is kind of combining major key, maybe kind of uplifting music with a very dire, morbid lyric. And I've always liked those juxtapositions. I've always liked music is sad, words are happy, or music is happy, words are sad. And this is definitely the latter of that. It's like the music is upbeat and happy and probably should be about something else. But in this moment, I decided that it should be about, nuclear winter.
We Will Become Silhouettes was probably a little bit inspired by kind of like techno stuff that was going on then. Like I was into this German label Compact, and I think a lot of stuff that's going on in this, the way that samples are played and stuff, maybe had to do with being into that kind of music, although like a faster version of it. I think maybe the cartooniness maybe came more from the lyrics and like the vocals. The instrumental to me feels more kind of lush and pretty. Like maybe it could have, if it was sung in a different way, it would have been more of like a dreamy, pretty song. And also, I think the video for it really influences how it sounds now to me too. Like I picture us in spandex riding bikes in the desert.
I've got it covered with cans of food, filtered water and pictures of you, and I'm not coming out until this is all over.
We Will Become Silhouettes is, I think, writing a lot of this material in the months right after 9/11. Obviously, it goes without saying what a terrible day that was. But in looking back on writing music around that time, I mean, I don't know if people listening might remember who or might have been alive or sentient or at that point remembering what it was like, but every day there was just some kind of new piece of terrifying information that was kind of being disseminated into the world. And I found myself on edge all the time for months, the months after September of 2001. And there were a lot of moments where it kind of felt like the world was just ending. Like this terrible tragedy was going to be like the fulcrum upon which all these other terrible things started happening that would end in God knows what, right? And for obviously a lot of people, that was the case. But I just found myself kind of experiencing this almost Cold War style anxiety about the end of the world, that we would end up like, as people had feared they would before, end up in a bunker for long periods of time, waiting out a nuclear winter or something like that. And I must have just been in a headspace at the time when that music came through that I felt, oh, this really bouncy kind of major key electronic pop song. Like, yeah, this should be about the end of the world. That's what this should be about.
We become silhouettes when our bodies finally go. I wanted to walk through the empty streets and feel something constant under my feet, but all the news reports recommended that I stay indoors.
Yeah, it felt like during the pandemic that song took on another life. I'd written that song from a place of anxiety, but also I think there's a lot of gallows humor in it too. At least there is for me. And I really still feel to this day that laughter is not the best medicine, because medicine is the best medicine. But that bringing some kind of humor, even if it's off color, to scary or dangerous situations can sometimes be very effective in kind of unleashing a little bit of anxiety or feelings of dread. It felt to me as I started to see that song floating around in the world more that, people were kind of latching onto it because it represented maybe people's greatest fears about where this pandemic was heading. At the time I was as anxious and freaked out as everybody else was, but there was a small part of me that was like, I'm glad that we wrote this. I'm glad that this exists and that we made this piece of music not for this moment, but this piece of music can represent it and capture it for some people and give them a little kind of break from feeling overwhelmed. Hopefully, a break from feeling overwhelmed all the time.